The line for the Soniqs is a much coveted first place. Now keep in mind that we are back to the old 6 invitational point format, meaning that a first place gets you, I'm pretty sure it's 510 points, by the way, for SI. Need some confirmation on that one, obviously, but we'll find out. Clubhouse is our map. We managed to go an entire playday without Oregon and Clubhouse. It was a Christmas miracle, Michael, but we are back to all reliable. This is a map that the Soniqs know quite well. So let's get into it. Sonic starting on defense, Mirage starting on attack. Let's go through the operator band.
Jesse coming in with the clutch on the points. It is 510 points for first. So
I know how to do my job.
Well, Jesse's got the the stats. He's got it all loaded up and ready. So thank you, Jesse.
I affectionately refer to him as Nerd Boy.
When is he gonna graduate from Nerd Boy to Statsman?
I think he's got at least another stage in him.
Yeah.
Before he earns his, he's actually completing his doctorate right now. So he will be Dr. Numbers actually when he graduates. Numbers. So he is currently Nerd Boy. He may become Stats Man. Maybe next stage he will be Stats Man, and eventually Dr. Numbers.
I love it.
So before we get there, and before Jesse earns his doctorate, let's go through the operator bands. Maverick and Hibana, a double Heart Breacher band. Oh, well, would you look at that? That is uncommon.
This map is going to suck to attack. Of course, you do have the Thatcher in there, but one thing that's not discussed at length when Thatcher's actually in play is the fact that Thatcher is counterable. While he is often banned out because he can just chew through any passive denial on walls, he's also the easiest tool to circumvent that denial on a wall to be countered directly by active denial. So like a bandit battery being placed. It's because of the slowness of the EMP and how you have to work with your teammates, the hard destructors, to efficiently open up the wall. So this is going to be a very difficult map to attack. I expect this to be defender-sided, but that's also going to depend on what the defenders do. Like, for example, right now, the Soniqs are only bringing a mute. That's not necessarily going to help with a Thatcher in play. Actually, sorry, it's not going to help at all with the Thatcher in play. And they're also going for an extended roam. So it's not really going to be too much of a consideration. The biggest problem for the attack is probably going to be just opening drops, and because of the Hibana. And they'll make it happen. They'll make it work with an ace.
Obviously, a lot of people in Twitch chat are going to focus on the Blitz, by the way, which is an interesting thing to have available. Take a look. Dream 6th picked onto the Shield Operator, and we have seen Shield Ops make quite a bit of noise here on this map. A lot of times it tends to be a Montaigne marching his way on in for what is eventually a push through Church. Maybe even through Dirt. It really depends on how teams want to set this one up. In this particular instance, it is a basement defense. That's the Church Arsenal bomb site. And Mirage are actually very close to pulling this off. They might go for a rush strategy here. Benji has complete control inside of blue, and if anybody tries to rotate from the blue stairs, well, they're going to be looking his way. Nyx unfortunately dies, and down goes Dream as well. Rexon posted up by dummies, but it's a big two-piece for Benji. The two members from the Soniqs trying to make their way back through blue can't do it. Rexon knows there's somebody in there, so he'll ping away through the wall as Benji's attention is elsewhere, and Grixer finishes him. Hot and Cold 1 HP inside of Dirt Tunnel. He's silenced, and loading goes as well. That round was over before it even began, and the Soniqs have picked up one of potentially 7 rounds to get themselves first points in the NA League.
Yet he's so enthusiastic, he has to wipe his screen down. You know what? Cannot blame him. That was an impressive round for the Soniqs. I'll tell you why. Mirage got such good cutoff control that it just should have been their round. And we didn't see the two-piece from Benji, but essentially what happened there, because it was pretty obvious what was being set up for, Benji had the cut on the retreat path for the Soniqs. So the Soniqs on the heavy roam, they're trying to delay the round as much as possible. Mirage says, all right, we'll hit the site directly. And because blue control was gotten so quickly by Mirage, the Soniqs, that's their primary retreat path. They had to fight through Benji to get back into sight when they realized it was a direct take from Dirt Tunnel. So even though Mirage and Benji in particular get 2 kills on those returning roamers through blue, they still can't win the round. And that is, you know what? fair enough for Yeti's enthusiasm. I'd say he earned it that round.
Well, the Sonics are strong performers on this map. We know that, Michael. They are a 2-0 so far through the NA League, with victories earlier on in the season. They actually haven't played this map since Playday number 3. They started off on Clubhouse with a 7-5 victory over DG, and then a 7-2 victory followed it 2 days later, or rather 2 play days later. In all reality, it was 2 weeks later, with a 7-2 victory over SSG. This used to be SSG's best map by quite a large margin, and it's obviously, well, it's not anymore. The Sonics have enjoyed this playground very much since Playday number 3, which actually wasn't all that long ago. It was back on April 6th. We haven't seen the Sonics return here. They've been favoring Oregon in an odd assortment of other maps. One of the criticisms leveled towards the Sonics seemed to be that they have a very small map pool. They favored playing Oregon in Clubhouse. And with the best-of-1 system that we have in front of us, it's very easy for teams to play the same 2 to 3 maps for the entirety of a season. It's nothing outside of the ordinary. The fact that the Sonics were good and proficient on this map, obviously, is going to do them well. The question is going to be, how does Mirage stack up? They have a 7-4 victory on this map over Beast Coast, an 8-7 victory on this map over Xset, and that's it. So they themselves are 2-0 on this map. Now, that first round was a bit of a non-starter for them, but Loading, who picked it up yesterday and whose pace on that Villa matchup was quite strong, is going to start off this round, netting a kill onto Yeti, who was playing a little bit loose, last spotted over by Kitchen. Grixer's above as well, and Kansan decides to peek the breach for some particular reason, and Benji's got 3 kills on the day. Just as round number 1 was so lopsided in favor of the Sonics, Mirage is shaping up to have the exact same thing happen, but the other way around for them, as now it's Grixer to once again peek the breach hole and give Benji one of the easiest kills of his career, finishing off the high-flying performer from the Sonics. Super's in a 1v5 clutch position. The Sonics weren't capable of getting a flawless round. Let's see if Mirage have any better results. Diffuser going down, and Super is just eating bullets, and Benji on the rappel. That's his third. Mirage takes round number 2 in dominating fashion, and flawless to boot.
Yeah, some puzzling decisions being made there from the Sonics. The peak there at the end from the Valkyrie on the breach. I mean, at that point, it's 2 versus 5. You've got to go for broke. Either take the fight and win the fight and bring your team back into the round, or take the fight, lose the fight, and the result is clear. So, yeah, makes sense for Mirage. They commit. Sorry, it makes sense for Sonics. They commit, and, you know, it's an L. Mirage's taking Garage was most impressive. And their ability to not lose a single body on that entry, that's uncommon. Usually when you're taking into Garage, you're going to take one body down on the garage door, or maybe somebody on the roam from the defense and lounge is going to pick off a player as they push it through the garage wall. No matter what, you're going to lose a body or 2. Usually you're just, as the attacker, just trying to trade yourself out so that you get the control. Even if it's an even exchange, if you so let's say 2 bodies down on both teams, if you get the control that you want in Garage, it's worth it as the attacking team. But that wasn't it wasn't even close to even. It was completely one-sided. Mirage took full control of that round. You said non-starter for the first round. I'm gonna say that's a non-starter in the second round. We'll just switch the teams around, and now the Sonics will try cash once more.
I was puzzled by a lot of the things that we saw there. And by the way, I hope you didn't really want to talk that round, because it didn't really seem to be an option for you. You just...
It's fine.
You were a spectator.
When we were on the bit, this is the really weird thing, because when we're casting in person, we use hand signals, and we haven't been able to do that for a long time. But when you were going over the map for I think it was Sonics, I was ready for them to go over the map for Mirage, and I was like, I want to take it. I'll take it. I'll do half of it. And it's weird because when you're casting together, we have a hand signal for that, and it's just so strange not to be able to do that anymore.
Yeah, sometimes, in fact, we actually have to engage in a deep game of rock, paper, scissors to see who gets the next opportunity to speak. It can throw our casting off, and you hear any awkward pauses, that's surely the culprit.
And then, obviously, there's... Oh, hang on.
Oh, my. A devastating loss for the Sonics, as once again, Grixer is down, and he's not going to be able to have much impact in this round. The Valkyrie's playing upstairs inside of gym, weight room, heavier lifting for his team, as Valkyrie had gone for a pop-out playing off of this camera. Yeti is next in line, and, well, Loading isn't anticipating anybody to hop out in that direction. It was Dream who got the kill, but Loading is the one who ultimately gets punished for it. Both teams, though, back into a 4v4 with just over a minute burned off the clock.
Yeah, Sonic saying they'll never expect another one, and yeah, I guess that's true. There's probably a Valkyrie cam outside that's facilitating that run out as well. Breach open, control almost gained, but there's still a defender on rafters. I believe that's Rexon. That's the best character to be playing on the rafters. He could use that AUG to great effect, and there you go. He's going to start things off well. Take down hot and cold. Now, again, if Mirage can trade out that kill and get the garage control, it's worth it. And there it is. That makes this take worth it. Mirage now having control of garage. They can use it as a platform to attack the site.
Nyx has control of garage on the bottom floor. 1 minute left. Super was in the clutch position before. He's going to be sitting at the top of red, and he can rotate into cash when he needs to. Just to his right is Kansan, sitting inside of the bomb site itself. So Super a little bit off the beaten path, but he can get back quickly. Dream takes some damage to his shoulder as Yeti is down below. Here's the problem for Mirage. 40 seconds left, and they have no intel on where this Malusi is hiding. You have to be very careful. Just as I say that, Benji seems to have a pretty good idea, and the advantage goes back in favor of Mirage in a 3v2 with 30 seconds left. Kansan's sights trained on where one of the attackers will certainly run through to attempt to defuse. There's a camera up somewhere as well that is pinging away at the players from Mirage, which will almost cause certain anxiety for them before they can execute. Super trying to slow down anybody from the breach, and he's going to push up, but the Zofia wins the fight against him, and Super's down for the count. Now it's Kansan versus Dream, and Dream breaks the streak. It was back and forth, back and forth. Sonics take one, Mirage takes one. Well, now Mirage takes two. They're up 2-1.
2-1 scoreline not looking great for the Sonics, and what's worse is that execution for Mirage is much the same as the first time they attacked onto that site. Open up garage, take garage. Use garage as platform to assault site. It's very default. This is an old strategy. There's nothing really to speak about there that's special for Mirage. I guess, well, okay, no, one thing. I like how when they had the Malusi downstairs, Mirage did not get distracted by the prospect of assaulting the site. They saw they had 40 seconds left, and they were like, you know what? Let's assault this Malusi. Yeah, what the heck? Why not? I mean, get rid of the Malusi underneath. They don't have to worry about C4, and now you've got man advantage. And that's exactly what Mirage did. They put all 3 of their remaining players on the Malusi hunt. Kudos. That's the right call. And then the rotation back to site was, it had enough time, just barely. And then you're attacking the site with Super dying in red. No gas canister presence, really. It's not ideal for the Sonics. And it's so bad, in fact, that they are going to change the site. The bottom floor has unlocked. Having already won it, Sonics couldn't go there. But now they can again, and they will give it another shot.
Give it the old college try, as we call it.
Yeah, they did that on Cash, and it didn't work. Does that mean that they don't get their degree?
I don't know. I never got my degree, so, I mean, they're in good company, I guess.
Waiting for somebody's...
I decided to get this job instead.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I never really thought it was going to happen. Just kind of did.
Well, I mean, I was in university.
Yeah, you were doing the whole regular life path thing. I just kind of stumbled into this.
I think stumbling is a pretty accurate way to describe how most people end up in this industry. I don't think anybody, or at least it might become more common now, but at the time, I don't think anybody was actively trying to become a cyber pro athlete.
Give it like
an esports superstar / global gameplay phenomenon.
Give it like 10, 15 more years, and I think it'll be a pursued industry.
Well, there was a thing that came out very recently that I know that there's a certain segment of the population who's going to groan, but there was a poll, and it basically asked American youth what the most ideal career was. And I think like YouTuber / streamer / content creator / e-celebrity was the most preferred path forward. Right. And of course, that's not sustainable. So
no, I mean, that's like, you get luck of the draw, right? And there's less establishment for it. Esports is well, I mean, let's not get lost in this topic. We've got half the round left, and the jacuzzi wall is opened up. Now, this is a roam, so it's mostly about delay work here for the Sonics defenders. And you can see Grixer's kind of stuck, and he's going to die to Nyx, who entries in by pool. Now, there's refrag potential, but you can see that those 2 defenders who had that refrag potential will just scurry down the main staircase. I think that's the right call because there's only a minute left. Yeah, you're leaving yourself one man down, but the time, you got to play off of the time.
It's entirely possible here as well from point standing that if Mirage wins this, not only do you deprive the Sonics of having first place fate in their own hands, they can very easily be passed over by OXG, but more importantly, Mirage will vault over Dark Zero. DZ is the team that has the day off, so they are locked in at 12 points. They will finish no better than 4th. It is also possible that Dark Zero falls out of the top 5 for this half, or for this stage, depending on what happens. Let's focus on that a little bit more in the downtime of the next round, because as you can tell from the clock at the top of your screen, we are very much nearing an execute, and the smokes will signal just that as the Sonics fire blindly through it to try and cut somebody down. Yeti on a cheeky rotate takes out 2, looking towards the bottom of the stairs, and could there be a 3rd in his future? Benji absorbs the damage of the gate as he comes in on a flank. This is a split push. He sees one by boxes. Mirage has the advantage, but there's 10 seconds left. Yeti will need something big for his team here now as it's a 1v3, make it a 1v2. He's anchored down inside a church, pops up, drops 1, but no, Benji trades him out, and it's 3 in a row for Mirage.
My God, Yeti almost took that round solo, but it's not to be. And because the Sonics are down so bad, 3-1 right now, they're going to take a tactical timeout. The Sonics have to salvage these last remaining rounds in this half. They cannot accept a 5-1 scoreline. So they'll attempt to set up a plan for the next 2 rounds, and that's certainly necessary based on what we're seeing so far. The execution for Mirage is not to be undervalued. Big part of that is their blue control. Now, we didn't see it very much on the camera, but the blue control was for me, is part of why they were able to take it so heavily. See, blue is a important position for the defenders. It's not only the linchpin to the defense of both sites, but it's also a highway for rotation. And one thing that's been happening consistently for Mirage on the bottom floor, whether they're winning the round or not, is Benji gets control of blue. He's just straight up winning his one fight in blue. And with that control, the Sonics now cannot rotate easily between sites. And on top of that, they have trouble defending their sites because there's no crossfire anymore. The crossfire favors the attack. So with Benji getting the win inside of blue, which we didn't see on screen admittedly, but we know he got it because that's where he was entering from. With Benji getting the win on, inside of blue, and the smokes in the main hallway, the cutoff for Mirage was so strong that Sonics had to stretch way out of their comfort zone to get anything, and the only person getting anything was Yeti. Everybody else was just losing their straight fight because they were isolated with little to no support from their teammates. That's a really good, I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's just straight up a great execution for Mirage.
You can pay a lot of praise to Mirage here for how they've played so far. I haven't really seen a lot of weaknesses on their end. I mean, that first round was obviously a pocket strat, right? They wanted to overwhelm the bomb site very quickly. They took dirt control very fast. They droned in garage to make sure that the avenue towards blue was completely clear, and then they lined up in that particular direction. Problem was they had no control outside of that. And to be fair, if you know that a team is going to be roaming, especially on that top floor, as we see teams do from time to time, you can overwhelm the 1 or 2 anchor players, get the diffuser down, and then fight when the defenders try to retake. Now, some of those hatches are going to be reinforced. You know where the typical drop points are going to be. You keep somebody in blue, you keep somebody by main stairs, and you've essentially locked the defenders out of their own bomb site. It's a tricky spot to play out of. Obviously, the Sonics didn't like what they were seeing. 3 rounds in a row on a map that is more defender-sided right now is obviously not particularly great. And Clubhouse has the 2nd most plays of any map in North America. Its defensive win rate is 67%. It is the most defender-sided map in the map pool in North America right now. And yet Mirage has already taken 3 of the 6 rounds, which means that Mirage cannot lose the first half. Now, this is on top of your comments that were made when we went through the ban phase. Maverick and Hibana are banned. You said this was going to be miserable to attack, and yet Mirage are doing an exemplary job.
I still feel that way, by the way. A big part of this is obviously the Thatcher, but there's no direct play into the Thatcher being brought out by the Sonics. Like, there are options to play around his existence, and none of them are being committed to. I guess it's not comfortable for the Sonics. It doesn't really, you don't have to, but it does make opening the walls kind of like a guaranteed thing. It's Thatcher opens the opportunity to counter, but he also makes it so you have to play that game or this happens. So it's a little bit weird. Anyway, we're going to have an early engagement that will net results for both teams. Mirage trying to push up main stairs, and that's a terrible idea. It'll get completely destroyed, and it'll get worse as they double down on it. Hot and Cold, the last attacker after a blunder by the rest of his team. He'll creep his way into Master. Nice lineup on Rexon. Down he goes. Diffuser retrieved. Super on low HP. Grixer's going to have to win the gunfight. And against Hot and Cold, one of the hottest hands in this season, with the AK-12, there is no guarantee for success on the Sonic side, despite how terribly Mirage executed that. Post-plant, in a matter of moments here, Hotton will drop to play from below. He's got information on the main stairs. They know that Super is playing prone on that staircase, and it seems like Super's aware that Hotton has dropped because of the way he's playing. So Super's going to try and cut off the rotation on the staircase while Grixer goes for the defuse, or the disable. Here it goes. Disable starting. Will Hotton have line of sight? Yes, he will, but Grixer gets away. And he's got a peek now. He has to take the challenge, but he'll lose the challenge. Hot and Cold is about to clutch this one up for his team. And Super, he doesn't even have time. Hotton's already won this. Mirage take yet another round on Attack of Clubhouse. The score is now 4-1.
Oh, good lord. Hot and Cold was inside of the site for a solid 15 seconds. If you include the time it takes to get that diffuser down, and the Sonics thought they had it in a post-plant. Kudos to Grixer, by the way, for where he was playing next to the weight rack. It was planted in such a way that there was no way you could long arm it. Hot and Cold knew that, and you could tell that it was a very dedicated plant spot, and that Hot knew what to do in that exact situation. But man, oh man, up until the final 20 seconds of that round, that was Sonics to lose, and boy, did they ever lose it. They've also lost the first half, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
They had a matchup against a team that has been very hot recently, but most people would have told you that the Sonics came in as favorites.
I would have told you that. I did.
If I had to put money down on it, I would have given the Sonics the edge. But Mirage, time after time, is improving as a team. I think the fastest improvement that we've seen of any roster in the NA League so far has to go to Mirage.
Yeah, it's not really... You know, it depends on where you're looking, right? Because Mirage is improving towards the top end. We've got a lot of teams on the bottom end who are improving really rapidly too. But the tangible, like the noticeable improvement for Mirage is really there. And one of the things that is most apparent is they're getting more consistent. I talked about at the beginning of the match, my one worry for the Sonics is how wildly inconsistent they are. How many, and you mentioned how many of the matches Sonics have won this season where they barely take the dub. 7-8. You know, it's something to be concerned about. It is definitely 1 point against the Sonics. And right now, we seem to be seeing some of the worst play from the Sonics thus far through this season. They're honestly, yeah, they're not playing so great, and Mirage are executing masterfully. So, I don't know. I mean, Sonics have to salvage this round. 5-1 is non-recoverable, in my opinion, on a Clubhouse basement half. But, I mean, if they salvage this round, there's a chance, I guess.
I think the thing that really needs to be underscored is that this should be, from what we know of the teams, what we know of this map, and what we know of the operator bans, this should be a defender's paradise. And yet, I mean, it is not. Benji, by the way, has 11 kills through 5 rounds. A very impressive tally.
Yeah.
For the record, that's only 3 fewer than all of Sonics have combined.
Maybe,
ignoring the rest of Mirage, by the way.
Maybe he...
That's just a single player.
Maybe he gets 3K this round and nobody on the Sonics picks up a kill. Let's see.
You might have just cursed him, Michael.
Yeah, my bad. He's going to get a 4K now. Oh, my bad. Maybe... Oh, I'm not going to say it now. Wait, what is this?
Yeti has concealed himself inside a kitchen, and he's prone if he doesn't get droned out. With that door closed, he's going to know the moment that they start to shoot away at the door, Yeti is going to spring into action. And there you go. Nitro Cell, beautifully timed. Yeti makes the call. You don't have a Valkyrie camera to do it. You just got to keep somebody in there. Yeti's still in there, by the way, and now not loading is going to die to him. Popping up and easily finished off. Yeti is still inside a kitchen. This is a peculiar strategy, but one that's working out quite well. A Nitro Cell now will also get hot and cold, and it looks like the Sonics finally have a round for themselves after winning the first. Dream swings onto Yeti and wins the gunfight, but there's still 45 seconds left. And there's utility. You got a Zofia and you got a Thermite. Take out some of those hatches. But this is going to be mighty tough for Mirage.
Yeah, there's very little recovery potential here, but Benji is, of course, the hot hand for Mirage, so yeah, we'll see if he's able to pick off the players as he has in previous rounds. He's once again going to get the blue control, and it almost seems like the Sonics aren't even contesting this anymore. Dream will meet up with him. It looks like it's going to be a church execute. Hopefully there's a refrag, but no, there's not. Rexon will take the last two players from Mirage off the board, and the rat plays from the Sonics will salvage their first half. Definitely not a win in the half, but it's, you know, it's better than 5-1.
First half in the books, of course. I'm not happy with that if I'm the Sonics. You had to burn your timeout. That's another thing, too. You had to burn your timeout just to salvage one more round, because after the timeout was taken, Mirage went 1-1. The Sonics obviously went 1-1 as well. You're going to be spending most of that time just simply discussing the next two rounds, of which was a defense from the Sonics that didn't work out. Should have, but it didn't. And then, of course, that church defense that ended up working out quite well because of what the Sonics were able to do on the main floor. Grixer and Yeti calling together.
Okay, hang on a second, Parker. I am officially... This is Angie Michael right now, because we've got exactly what I was hoping we would see from Sonics for their entire defensive half now being brought by Mirage. There's a bandit. This is what I talked about, man. You could bring a bandit, you can bring a Kaid. I don't really care, but bring something to active deny. If Thatcher's the only way that they're going to get the wall open, then bring something to active deny. I mean, like, I know, okay, I get it. Bandit's not, like, super in meta, but that's the role he fulfills, and he's not super in meta because Thatcher keeps getting banned. So, I don't know, it's confusing. And Mirage is going to, yeah, it's a good calculation for Mirage. Bring the bandit.
Oh. Let's see what Mirage is capable of doing. Do we have an attacker-sided clubhouse? That's going to be the question. Everything that we have points towards the fact that the answer should be no. And there were a few rounds as well that I felt that the Sonics just simply weren't able to close out those rounds, just as they've struggled to close out matches against certain teams. Mirage obviously starting upstairs, bringing double denial with that mute and that bandit. And trying to open it up now. The reason why the door is barricaded, for all of you that might be wondering, is because there's a drone hole right there that Dream is watching. Zofia likes to shoot her concussions through that drone hole. And it will hit a bandit if that door is not barricaded and force the bandit off of bandit tricking. Having that door up essentially means that you can bandit trick without really too much worry. Now, obviously, the floor beneath you is soft, so you still need to worry about getting hit with an ash charge or an explosion or something along those lines. But you don't have to worry about getting stunned. One small thing to make your job a little bit easier.
It's a really nice flank drone there, and it will work out for the Sonics because Nyx is trying to flank right now. Also, the cool thing about a drone like that is if the enemy doesn't see it, you're more likely to get a kill by the flanker trying to overcommit, not knowing he's been spotted. Now, this is all well and good on the flank, but all this is kind of irrelevant to the actual take. What's going on site, definitely much more interesting, as we do hear some hard destruction, some places, some soft destruction, others. It looks like it's going to be the construction wall opened up here from the Sonics, and possibly, I think that I hear single wall being opened up as well. So this is going to give a good platform for the Sonics to attack right now. The flank will die, so Nyx attempted it on the staircase and lost. Hot and cold C4 from Cash will go into construction and get a refrag, so answer back, but at the same time, we're starting to see the attack set up in a way they have an actual platform for the assault.
I very much doubt that this is a concerted and dedicated effort to get Grixer out of the match as frequently as possible, but Mirage is getting exceptionally lucky with this one. Even though they do trade out Nyx, I would say that's worthwhile because the upsides for the Sonics of having Grixer in the matchup is larger at the moment than the upside from Nyx being involved. Only 25 seconds left, by the way, and the Sonics, as you can see, are going to take construction, which has pushed back the one player from Cash. Loading will be in a heads-up gun duel here, and everybody from Mirage is getting in on the fun. Diffuser surrendered, toss a nitro cell on it. You're not going to blow up the case, or anybody else for that matter, as the final member of Sonics falls to hot and cold. Mirage will take their very first defense, and they are 2 rounds away from what many would consider to be a surprise upset here on Clubhouse.
I mean, strategically, Mirage were just better in that round. Yeah, of course, their flank didn't work out, but whatever. That was their X factor. That was their, extra leg up. They didn't really care about that. What they cared about was their setup on the site. They played the construction defense perfectly. A lot of the time when construction wall gets opened up and single wall gets opened up, what happens is the defenders start peeking and they start losing bodies and blah, 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 blah. But no, not for Mirage. They're too smart. They're not going to give the enemy that opportunity. So they play passive farther back. They realize, okay, we're not even being pressured by the heckin' platform, so we don't need to worry about it. We can hold in server, we can hold in garage. The long angles are plentiful. Why would we overextend and give the picks away? And that's the big thing. Why didn't the Sonics open up the platform wall? I'll tell you why. Bandit. See, that's the... Okay, so Maverick denies counters like Bandit. It's an active counter to a wall. Thatcher does not. You can place and juggle batteries with a Thatcher in play and deny hard breach. So Sonics were like, heck it, let's just go somewhere else. And that's the power. It just one operator. And now they're going somewhere else. Like, Sonics could have done that their whole half. Just saying. Okay, you know what? I'm getting too caught up on this point, but I do think it's relevant. Strategically, Mirage, if just through the ban phase, they have outplayed the Sonics. Which is weird because the Sonics are the ones who banned Maverick. Anyway, I'm done now.
I just let you go and I just sit here and I listen.
No, it's weird, Parker. It seems like an oversight to me. But I'm curious to hear what was going through the Sonics' heads because they obviously have something going on. I just don't know what it is.
I mean, you and I both got to speak to a particular coach of a pro team last night who basically went over how playing 3 play days in a row is hell for a lot of teams that aren't particularly experienced. It's going to lead to very scrappy Rainbow Six. It's going to lead to teams falling back on maps they know. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of Oregons in clubhouses today. Beautiful nitro cell, by the way, from Loading, read out well as Grixer dies and starts off yet again another opening death for the Sonics, and yet again another opening death for Grixer. Right now the tally is 5 opening duels in favor of Mirage, 3 for the Sonics. So the advantage for Mirage has been present for the majority of this matchup. But back to what we were talking about with this pro coach. Basically said that having to prep 3 play days in a row is quite hard. And for a lot of teams, it'll be scrappy siege. But for the more experienced teams in the league, they will be ready for this because this is what you have to do at live events. And it's at live events, you're usually playing tougher competition than teams in just your own domestic league. So in this case, honestly, a big amount of kudos need to go to Mirage for being able to hang so tough. And over the Super Week so far, they are 2-0.
If they take this dub, it'll be 3-0, and with Grixer forcibly placed on the bench round after round, that seems likely at this point. I don't even think he got to use his his EMPs. There are Electro Claws in play, but clearly none on the kitchen drop. Impact tricking going out, though, and it'll be successful for Hot and Cold. He missed his first, but not his second. As long as one lands, though, it's not the end of the world. Now, there is no more Exothermic in the pocket of Super. There are Selmas for Yeti, but he's trying to hold dirt right now. He needs somebody else to take this position from him. There's only 38 seconds. He has to get the drop open. He's the only one who can do it. Yokai will disorient Yeti. It's gone unspotted inside a dirt tunnel. He'll start looking for it and find it. So great. Meanwhile, the blue push is not working very well. And oh boy, that's a weird, messy kill, but it doesn't really matter. Mirage cleans up the round. And Parker... it sure seems like we're spiraling towards an end.
Twirling towards freedom. Freedom for Mirage in this particular case. Who, by the way, that drop from Super, seeing Malusi up close. Who said Rainbow Six wasn't a horror game? Because that's a jump scare and a half.
I mean,
the Sonics at this particular point, by the way, they're in free fall. Absolute free fall at this point. Since taking the timeout after round number 4, they have won a single round. Mirage have won 3. I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know if it's a lack of prep work. I cannot begin to speculate on what is going on. But Mirage are doing on defense, at least through these 2 rounds, what we expected the Sonics to do. You've got 2 of the most powerful operators in the entire game banned for the attackers. No Maverick, no Hibana. Means that for your hard destruction, you have to rely on Thermite and Ace. All well and good. Ace in particular is an exceedingly strong operator now. Some would say one of the most powerful operators that you can bring on attack. But you've got issues that you have to deal with. Kaid is not banned. The 2 defenders that are banned are Maestro and Mira, which means that denial is going to be incredibly important. It also forces the attackers to always run a Thatcher. But the EMPs for Thatcher aren't as strong as they used to be. You can very easily work around them as they only disable your gadgets for a temporary period of time instead of outright blowing them up. Mirage have not had a problem with this for 2 rounds. And these 2 rounds have been so decidedly in favor of Mirage that you have to wonder what the Sonics can do to catch up. It's not like the scoreline tells you anything different. It has been Mirage all the way. They have dominated this matchup so far, and they are just 3 minutes away from potentially vaulting themselves into the top of the NA League. With a win here, by the way, Mirage would be tied with OXG for second. OXG to win the heads up against Mirage, so they have the advantage in that regard, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, explained it. It's just when you have a Thatcher, it forces you to play the active denial game. Mirage are doing that. Sonics didn't do that for their entire defensive half. Maverick, on the other hand, forces you not to play the active denial game. It's a weird little dance with hard destruction. He's banned, so. Here come the EMPs, and the wall will be, attempted. I don't know if Bandit's tricking. Nope, he's not. He's too far back. He's playing inside of the bathroom. So this wall will be a freebie. Loading's probably going to rely on keeping the bathroom wall up so he can deny the push in through the hallway. That's a safer way to do this, especially if you're worried about lifelines stopping you from tricking. And that's how that's how he's going to do it. He already used up a lot of utility, so, that's just the decision that Mirage made, and it's not a terrible one necessarily. Here come the Selmas, the stuns. There's marks, there's information. The first bandit trick works, though, and there's no EMP. So, okay, the active game is already working for the defenders. They have to use even more utility to open up that wall once again and dislodge loading in bathroom.
I like the tempo that was being set by Sonics here at the start. They need to keep it up, of course, and get an early pick. That's the big thing. The Sonics have not been as proficient on the scoreboard, despite a good performance from Rexen so far today. The team hasn't really been able to do too much. One of your hard breachers, by the way, down for the count. Super finished off by Hot and Cold, as that's a punishing entry, and it's going to give some pause to the Sonics for the remaining 50 seconds in the round. Hot and Cold is posted up inside a garage with a kill hole that gives him a line of sight to where the execute is going to happen. Dream now punishing Rexen, the best player for the Sonics. One for Yeti on the board. The Sonics are going to need more of that, by the way. Yeti and Kansan are potentially in trouble, as they're going to have to enter through the same area. And all it takes is one gun sight trained in this particular area to finish off whoever goes in. Both Kansan and Grixer are taking a lot of damage. Grixer shutting down Hot and Cold. Dream falls to Yeti, and what was an advantage for Mirage is now in favor of the Sonics. Just like that, Yeti is down. Grixer, the man, the myth, the legend, the best performing player in the NA League so far this stage, with the matchup on the line. First place slipping through their grasp. It's a 1v2, and he knows it's over. A stunning upset as Mirage knocks out the Sonics and takes the map.
That wasn't even really a match. And it's weird because we've been conditioned to expect much more from the Sonics. Through this stage, they have been seemingly indomitable. But they didn't log into the server today. And that happens. It does happen. It's not necessarily something that we can fault, because Parker's right. We've had 3 play days in a row now. They ran out of gas in the tank for whatever reason. And Mirage, they came to play. Let's talk about that as well. Mirage took the win there, and heck, did they earn it. My God. The strategy was really well done. The teamwork, impeccable. the delay, the awareness of the components for the round, the active denial, they're playing into the situation they're presented with actively and dynamically. Heck, even rounds that Mirage lost, they were playing well. So, I mean, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed by Mirage's performance. Soniqs, I don't know what happened today, but I don't think it's indicative of a fall or any kind of, downturn or whatever. I think they'll be fine. They'll make a recovery, but that was a bad play day for them.
The Soniqs only had a single loss so far this stage. Just one loss. It was to Dark Zero, where they lost 4-7. Well, this is their second loss, and a hell of a time to get it, frankly. All they needed was a win. That was it. Just a single win, and first place was theirs. Their fate, by the way, not in their hands. There's still a possibility that they finish in first place today, but they don't get to decide that. OXG and TSM are going to be the two teams that ultimately have a say in over that, and OXG in particular is the biggest threat. This is the worst loss that we saw from the Soniqs. I mean, albeit they only had 2 losses, but still, they crumbled under pressure today. I don't know if it was a lack of preparation. I'm just as confused as you are. But as much as we're going to focus on the Soniqs, Mirage earned this victory. We've got an interview with Nyx ready to hear exactly what happened with Mirage, and we'll go there.